part of the charge, and that is an exception.
The current charge of DUI is essential. You're not going to be able to bring in character evidence unless you present us that you're going to do so during pre-trial in which both parties would sign them.
May I
So,
proceed?
objection is sustained.
Thank you. Move to strike.
Yes.
Ms. Olson, prior to September 24th, Vanessa Sullivan has brought up the issue of the possibility of you being the designated driver. Is this correct?
That was at the beginning of the month. It wasn't like before.
But
Opposing counsel, distinguished members of the jury. As a member of the defense team, we'd like to sincerely thank you for your time and service in this trial. We've been brought to this court because an intelligent, beautiful young woman, Vanessa Sullivan, lost her life in a car accident. Vanessa Sullivan is the sole daughter of the State of Midlands prosecuting attorney, Ryan Sullivan. As a result, the State of Midlands is charging the driver of that vehicle, Vanessa's dear, dear friend, and our client, Ms. Danny Dawson, with murder and driving under the influence. In this court, we seek justice. We ask you, the jury, to measure justice. We review all of the evidence and we weigh the results. You have learned today that unless the State of Midlands proves every single charge and every single element of this case beyond a reasonable doubt, you must find Ms. Dawson not guilty. In this case, it is clear the state's evidence just does not measure up. And if you give them an inch, they will take a life. But there is one thing they did not count on. They did not count on you good people to use your common sense to put two and two together and see that these charges just do not add up. The State of Midlands called 3 witnesses to attempt to prove these charges beyond a reasonable doubt. The first witness they called was the bartender, Mr. Pat Lawrence, a real stand-up gentleman. Pat Lawrence is a bartender that worked at Chuggy's in an atmosphere with a rock band and a crowded bar and a ruckus night. Pat Lawrence testified, Miss Dawson drank this, Miss Dawson drank that. Really, in that bar, on a night a rock band performs, you know the location and consumption history of every single drink you pour? I don't think so. Let's move on to the state's second witness. The state called Dr. Avery Smith. Dr. Avery Smith was called for one reason and one reason alone: to prove count 2 that Miss Dawson was driving under the influence. However, the state has no evidence submitted to this court that proves that fact, no breathalyzer test result, and no testimony. As to the third witness, Sam Lyons, a taxi cab driver, the state enlisted Mr. Lyons to prove to you that Miss Dawson had options. That Miss Dawson had another ride, another way to go. But they have not proved that fact. They simply alleged that fact. Perhaps Mr. Lyons was afraid of getting in trouble himself and losing his career as a taxi cab driver, because he knew what we all know, that the daughter that died in this car accident was Vanessa Sullivan, and her mother is the state district attorney, Ryan Sullivan. Now, District Attorney Sullivan is upset, angry, and grieving, just as any mother who loses a daughter would be. But just as the strings of a puppet are pulled, so too have the strings of this case been pulled by District Attorney Sullivan. Since the very first night, it has been her intent to take Miss Dawson down for murder. She pushed Pat Lawrence. She pushed Dr. Smith. She pushed Sam Lyons. And this special counsel to be her weapon of revenge. Just because you're in a position of prominent power, you do not get more rights than the rest of us. Vigilante justice has no place in this courtroom. Members of the jury, our prisons are filled with hardened criminals, cold hard killers, rapists, thieves, and drug dealers. Miss Dawson is not a murderer. Members of the jury, this is what it has been and always sounded like, simply a car accident. Simply a car accident. Members of the jury, what the facts show, or the lack of what the facts show, what the law requires, and what justice demands. You must find Miss Dawson not guilty